The lawyers of the famous rapper and producer Sean T. Diddy Combs filed a motion last night in court accusing the United States government of leaking to the press a video of the hip-hop mogul hitting his ex-girlfriend and others that could be used as evidence against him. The lawyers have asked the judge to prohibit the use of these videos as evidence in the future trial against Combs.
The music industry is a brilliant spectacle, a world that many want to belong to. On stage, the artists are deities, their lives are a dream, and the success that many exhibit sound like overcoming stories worthy of admiration. Diddy was then known as one of the biggest moguls in the industry. His net worth was estimated at over $1 billion just 2 years ago, and his name was always associated with the biggest parties and the most popular artists of the moment. But behind the glitz and extravagance, when the lights went out, the reality was darker than we could ever imagine. So in this video, we will try to delve deep into the story of this titan of music, someone who was once one of the most influential figures in the scene and who today is accused of crimes impossible to imagine. The questions are, how can a man who built an empire from nothing now be on the brink of total ruin? What are the secrets he tried to hide and that are now coming to light? Well, this is the story of Sean Combs, better known as P. Diddy, and the dark framework that supported the success we know so far. Sean John Combs started out as a talent promoter working for Uptown Records. Around 1993, he founded his own label, Bad Boys Records. Over time, he managed to develop the careers of some of the most important names in hip-hop, such as the Notorious Big, also Mace and Faith Evans, among many others. And then it wouldn't be long before Comp became one of the most important people in the hip-hop industry. Thanks to his team, it didn't take long for him to be considered one of the rich and famous. Noticing the success he achieved as a producer, he decided it was time to launch his own career. In '97, he released his debut album called No Way Out, which was a resounding success thanks to the song I'll Be Missing You, a tribute made for his friend and colleague Biggie after his life was taken away. Taking advantage of the success he had in the industries he ventured into, he began to be interested in making an income in other industries. One of them was fashion, from where he launched his brand Sean John, and in alcoholic beverages, also launching his own brand of vodka, C-Rock. Afterwards, the future looked quite promising for the producer and businessman. Diddy had managed to build his empire on a foundation that seemed solid, with fame, fortune, and some important connections. In the eyes of the world, this character had it all: a magnate, an icon of popular culture, and the admiration of his peers and his audience. But from the beginning, some shadows made the foundation of this empire somewhat unstable, at least internally. And above all, behind all this facade, something much bigger, much murkier, was hiding than many of us could imagine. Over the years, Diddy's success began to have some not so noticeable stains for the public, but not entirely invisible. In the 90s, a great rivalry developed in hip-hop, especially between artists from the East Coast and the West Coast. Diddy, as one of the main producers of the genre, got involved in this battle even though he might not have agreed. The violence associated with this battle ended with the deaths of artists Tupac Shakur and Notorious Biggie Smalls. These crimes were a before and after, both in the music industry and in Diddy's life. It was never proven, though, if he had any connection with these attacks. But some theories also leave the door open to the possibility that, in some way, Combs had a role in these tragic stories. However, he himself asserted that his own career was propelled by Biggie's crime, as his most successful song was dedicated to his memory. But this is the only scandal that surrounded the tycoon during that decade. In 1999, he was involved in a shooting at a New York nightclub along with his then partner, singer Jennifer Lopez. For this, he was arrested, but later all his charges were dropped. Slowly, Sean's public image began to wear down with each accusation that came to light. In the shadows, rumors of his abusive behavior were spreading, But no one could imagine everything that could happen. What was missing was for someone to have the courage to bring these crimes to light. And it was precisely on November 16, 2023, when singer Casey Ventura, Diddy's ex-partner, filed a complaint that would trigger a chain reaction. The complaint was so large and detailed that its first page contains a sensitive content warning. The tycoon
of music, Diddy Combs, was accused of rape and sex trafficking by his ex-girlfriend. They described the music tycoon as a vicious, cruel, and controlling man. The singer, Cassie, says the incidents occurred during her 10-year relationship with Combs.
Ventura said she was subjected to savage beatings that would unleash because Diddy had trouble controlling his anger. In the complaint, she also mentioned that on several occasions, she was drugged and forced to be intimate with different men in sessions that lasted practically all day. These men could be acquaintances of Diddy or also night workers or intimacy workers. She also revealed some not minor, but equally chilling details such as the fact that she had decided to blow up Kid Cudi's car as a form of intimidation. Thus, when this lawsuit became public, the artist categorically denied all the accusations, and the next day they reached a financial agreement to dismiss the complaint. It seemed that with that, he had managed to calm the waters, but Ventura's complaint was the first piece in a domino that encouraged other victims to speak out publicly. The first was Joy Dickerson-New, a woman who claimed that Combs had intoxicated and intimately abused her when she was a college student. The day after this complaint, a woman who was identified as Lisa Garner but who previously wanted to remain anonymous claimed that both Diddy and R&B singer Aaron Holt had put illegal substances in her drinks and forced her into intimacy when she was just 16 years old. And on the part of the businessman and his lawyers, the only statements made were that these were supposedly women who wanted money. Even so, Combs' empire was beginning to show the first cracks. His brands began to register losses in sales, while he himself had to resign from his position as president of the cable television channel he launched in 2013 Revolt. Many brands that actually had contracts with Diddy decided to distance themselves as much as possible to avoid being affected. And while the magnate's legal team remained calm, the domino pieces kept falling, and with them more and more complaints were being raised. A young woman who was referred to as Jane Doe, a name given to people with reserved identity in the United States, reported that when she was 17 years old, both Combs and two of his colleagues intoxicated her, got her drunk, and took turns taking advantage of her. At this point, Diddy made a simple statement through his social media saying that he was innocent and that he had never done anything he was being accused of, that obviously he was not going to say, "I am guilty," by simple logic. Then, in the following months, more than 9 civil lawsuits were filed against Diddy and a federal investigation was opened. The accusations ranged from intimate abuse to extortion and human trafficking. All the accusations had one factor in common: a pattern of behavior in which Diddy used his power and money to manipulate and abuse vulnerable people. But it was on March 25th of this year that a scene no one expected took place, in which the police practically simultaneously arrived at Diddy's 2 homes in Los Angeles and Miami.
Breaking news. Federal agents raid the homes of one of the most important names in the entertainment and rap industry. Officially,
it was officially declared that the raids were carried out as the basis of a sex trafficking investigation. 2 of his children, who were in the houses at the time of the raid, were also temporarily detained. Among the things they found in his residences and seized were 3 large caliber weapons with the serial numbers erased, which are illegal weapons. With this, you realize. But the word of the tycoon, well, he on his part kept saying that he was innocent. Along with this, also in April of the year 2024, a security camera video from 2016 came to light showing Diddy physically abusing Casey Ventura in a Los Angeles hotel, confirming just one of the many allegations made by the singer. Immediately, a video of Combs began to circulate in which he makes his discharge and perhaps for the first time since the scandal began, takes responsibility for his actions.
I don't have it as excuses. My behavior in that video is inexcusable. I take full responsibility for my actions in that video. I'm disgusted. I was disgusted at that moment when
I did it and I am
disgusted now.
Even though the businessman tried to apologize, the fire had already started to spread. In this way, on September 16th of the year 2024, Diddy was arrested on charges of criminal conspiracy, sex trafficking, bribery, and obstruction of justice. It was revealed that he had been running a criminal operation since at least the year 2008, using his business empire to cover up all his crimes. His lawyers, meanwhile, they remain firm in defending their client and assure the media that he is innocent.
He has come here to surrender. Why doesn't the government want him to surrender? Because if not, they can't issue an arrest warrant. So they go and arrest him. Mr. Combs is a fighter. He is innocent.
He was denied bail twice since the time he was arrested, as the judge determined that his freedom is a risk to the community and to justice. It was requested that he be kept in prison until the trial is carried out, mainly to protect the whistleblowers and witnesses. Among the many possible victims, one name came to resonate quite a bit. It is believed that Canadian singer Justin Bieber, who has been close to Diddy since his 15th birthday, may have been one of the underage victims, but it has not yet been confirmed. It is said that there is evidence of this, and the artist Jaguar Wright claimed that Combs would have sold a video named Freak Sops to the dark web for approximately $500 million, where Bieber and other artists involved can be seen. And fans began to connect the dots and suppose that something very bad could have happened to the idol in his adolescence. Things that somehow coincide with the abrupt change he had when he stopped being a child singing romantic songs to become the young man who kept getting into trouble. In fact, some videos even show a Bieber intoxicated in some way at Diddy's parties, who should have been more of a mentor and responsible for the young man's health. The theories also say that Bieber's songs tried, as I was telling you before, to give clues about what could have happened to him in his adolescence. But the same singer revealed sometime later that Diddy made him sign confidentiality agreements to enter these parties. The accusations also come at a particular time for the artist, as he recently became a father with his wife Hailey Bieber. According to sources close to the artist, the news of Diddy's arrest surprised and disturbed him equally, especially since they recently worked together again for one of the songs on Combs' album, which came out in September of this year. In fact, they claim that if Bieber had known about these accusations, he would not have worked with him. He has also chosen to remain silent since the allegations against this individual came to light. The news has not only affected him emotionally, but it has also caused him to isolate himself to process the situation privately. As of the date I'm recording this video, a total of 120 accusers have come forward. The lawyer for a group of victims made statements in which she mentions that of those 120 people, half are men and the other half are women. At least 24 of them were minors when they suffered abuse, and most shockingly, the youngest victim was a child of only 9 years old. About the parties where these attacks took place, it is said that there was a party to start, and later in the night an after party would begin, where a substance used to tranquilize horses was distributed. Thus, most of the potential victims were disoriented and at the mercy of those who had more power. The lawyer for another group of victims also assured that there are at least 3 intimate videos of the artist available to justice. And regarding the list of famous people who participated in these parties, it expands every day. And at this moment, in fact, it is not only about actors and artists, but also those responsible for institutions such as banks, hotels, entities that supported the activities that were carried out, among others. It is said that those who attended the parties knew everything that was happening. So while we are waiting for the trial, more information is coming to light, so surely we will be updating this case quite soon. So far, the rapper remains firm in his statement as not guilty to all the charges he is accused of, but expressed his desperation to maintain constant communication with his children, who support him in these disturbing times. According to internal sources from the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, Diddy is under constant surveillance due to the risk of him attempting to take his own life. And that's how Diddy's case makes it clear that in an industry where power and influence can be used for good or evil, and where secrets can be kept under lock and key for years, eventually the truth comes to light. And although the damage caused is irreparable for all the victims, the fall of the magnate is a big step for justice and the first step towards healing for all his victims. It may take some time, but eventually the industry will be able to purge itself and transform into a place where talent shines without being tarnished by the abuse of power. At least that's what I believe, and I hope so. Remember that on Pepe Misterio's YouTube channel, you can find the podcasts or interviews. Just type in the search bar Pepe Misterio Podcast, and the playlist will appear at the top.